Yeah, check. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're just doing a couple more things and then, well, about 25 minutes ready to go. But I just want to say a big thank you for everyone that's turned up today. Massive thank you to everyone. Just remember, you know, what we said, peaceful. We're here for Tommy, respect Tommy, keep it peaceful. Guys, literally 20 minutes, we'll get going. It's going to be a good show. Tommy Robinson. Oh, Tommy Robinson.
Hey! I can't, I want to get on stage. How do I get up there? No, I'm too old. But yeah, 1 second, folks, we'll be right with you. Now, hold on a minute. They've put him on the main wing. He's getting death threats all day, every day. Now, he's under a lot of stress. It's getting to him. You know, I wouldn't trade places with him. Well, I would trade places with him, but you know what I mean? He's in a real bad state and he just wants to get home to his kids. He's got 3 beautiful children. He's got a lovely, lovely wife and a mum and dad. And his family man, that's all he is. Now, what he's requested is, he wrote a letter to his wife, and it's very emotional, and the things they're doing to him. Now, they've specifically moved him. I'm going to tell you this, and then I'm going to tell you something else. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. They've moved him to this new prison where he was firing in Hull, but now they've moved him to Olney now, and they put him on the main wing. Now, it's not rocket science. They've done that because they want something to happen to him, and then their hands are clean. It wasn't them that killed him, it was the inmates. So, that being said, what we need, folks, is we need to get him out as soon as possible. His appeal date is being moved forward. He's got a real fighting chance. And in this letter, he has actually begged, he's pleaded for everybody here today to behave yourselves, or you're hanging him. You're really gonna hang him. He just wants to get home to his children. That's all he wants. So do me a favour, do him a favour, do his kids a favour, do the country a favour. Yeah? Because what a national hero. The bravest man you'll ever meet. And like I said before, your faith and your trust in him is not wasted. He's a wonderful man. Let's support him. Let's show him that we can do it. I need everybody here. No trouble, no violence. Respect the police. Do as they ask you. Comply with whatever they ask you. Anybody that throws a missile at the police officers over here or over there, anywhere here today, you've sold Tommy out. Right? Come on. Do you think the judge, when the judge sees footage of violence and police officers being attacked, you can't attack police officers. That's just like a major no-no. That's not what we're about. So, do us a favour, do him a favour. Behave yourselves, no trouble. Otherwise, he has actually said, Kev, they're hanging me. I just want to get home and see my kids. So please bear that in mind, folks, and I won't bore you no longer. I'll have a little chat to you in a little while. I'm somewhere on the list. I'm normally last on the list. It's a story of my bloody life. Right, so thank you very much, folks. God bless you.
See that. So I'll tell you what we'll do. The loudest one we can get, we're going to sing Tommy's name. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1. Oh, Tommy, Tommy! Tommy, Tommy, Tommy! Beautiful! Robinson! Come on! Tommy, 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 Tommy Robinson! Guys, honestly, when he comes out of prison and watches all the videos and all the crowds that have gathered in his name without him actually being here, is incredible. Just think about what the party's going to be like when he's released. We're going to have the party of the century when Tommy is released. We're going to make sure that every road in this area is full of Tommy supporters. We won't be able to get him in the streets. Honestly, guys, he's going to absolutely love it. And I know that he's just trying to get back to his family at the moment. He's got his appeal being brought forward. In 4 days' time, he's got his appeal. 4 days. Now, listen, the establishment have got an option. They can rectify the corruption that they've done to him. They can rectify the imprisonment and the stupid sentence they gave to him on that day. It's absolutely ridiculous. But they got an opportunity to change it. They can let him out. They can do that. They can let him out. Or they can just get him out in a few weeks' time, get him home to his family, where he deserves to be. This man gave us the truth. He gave us the truth. What the hell is he doing in a prison? And everybody who knows, they see reports of paedophiles and everything that, you know, don't get a canonical sentence whatsoever. We want Tommy out. 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 But honestly, it's very important. I'm just going to say it again. I know Kev's touched on it, but honestly, 4 days' time, guys, he could be out. You know, it could be. There's a possibility. The amount of effort that has gone into this court case and the money that has been spent to try and get this guy out is incredible. And we have to respect that and make sure today is respectful towards Tommy and his family. His family are all watching this. Everyone's watching this. The world is watching this. And when these speakers come on this stage, you'll see the international support that Tommy's got, and it's incredible. Guys, we're going to leave it there. Oh, Tommy, Tommy! Tommy, 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 Tommy Robinson! Oh, Tommy, Tommy! Tommy, 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 Tommy Robinson! Just a quick mention that Richard Imam is currently, where is he? In Belfast. They've got the same sort of event going on in Belfast. So a big shout out to Richard. Yes. Speak to you soon, guys.
Oh, Tommy, Tommy. Tommy, 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 Tommy Robinson. Whoa, Tommy, Tommy. Tommy, 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 Tommy Robinson. Yes, London. Yes, London. London! London! Now I wasn't supposed to be speaking today. I think today is more about people that speak that don't swear a lot. So I'm going to keep it on the low down. And whoever bought me a beer up there on the right, thank you very much. Now, I'm not going to crack any jokes today, although I do that terribly, but I'm going to shoot from the hip. I'm not a politician, as you know. I'm a man that cracks bad jokes on the internet. But the one thing I've got is love in my heart, and Tommy's a friend of mine, and you cannot be wrong and strong, and what is right is right. Now you tell me, does anybody standing here, thousands of you, does anybody of you think that Tommy should be incarcerated in a tiny cell? It's absolutely outrageous. And you know what? When you go onto the Twitters and the social medias and you see people tweeting their nonsense, their uneducated, ill-informed waffle, well, he broke the law. You know, if you don't like the law, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, how about fuck off? Maybe the law should change slightly, and remember whose side they're on, because reporting on child raping gangs should not be swept under the carpet. Child raping gangs should not be swept under the carpet. And there's one man in particular that believes that wholeheartedly, and that's Tommy. And that's all of you. And that's me. That's why I'm here. That's why we're all here. Children need to be protected. Their innocence needs to be preserved. And if we keep the ill treatment and the sexual exploitation of children swept under the carpet to protect the perpetrator, where are we going to be in 10 years? On our knees. And I can't even say the next thing that I would normally say, because I've been told not to swear and keep it clean. But today I'm going to keep it short and sweet. Today is a political day, and I'm not a political man. I'm a friend of Tommy's. And I want, with every beat of my heart and every bone in my body, not just for what's right, but what's for us and our future generations, I want Tommy out. Do you want Tommy out? Tell me, we want Tommy out. We want Tommy out. We want Tommy out. Come on. We want Tommy out. 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 Listen. Love it, you got a better voice than me. Listen, man, I don't want to preach any cheesy lines about the children being our future. You've all heard that in a song, but they are. You know it, I know it, and thanks to Tommy, a multitude of people know it and want to protect it. Hold the baton. Pass it on to your friend. Spread the message, spread the word. We are not going to bow down to child raping gangs. No way! No way! God bless you all. Free Tommy! Thank you! Yes! The Australian Superman ain't no goddamn thing! Abby! His mum! Over to you, brother!
G'day, London! That was piss weak. G'day, London! Guys, we got here a couple that, 48 hours ago on a 24-hour flight.
Travelled 16,000 kilometres to be here to support the biggest legend in the world. We love Tommy Robinson in Australia.
And know this, we're coming together, but there are millions in Australia that support Tommy, that support you, that are here to fight the fight together, united.
No matter what the left call us, I am the world's proudest Jewish Nazi. And Tommy is my brother. Tommy is my friend. Tommy is my leader. Because Tommy stands for what is right, even when it's unpopular.
I met Tommy in 2012 in Stockholm, and on that day I knew that he understands the threat, and the threat is Islam, and there's no moderate version, none. And if it weren't for Tommy Robinson, no one would know about these grooming gangs and what's going on. And my father, my grandfather, my uncles fought for this country, and it's disgusting what's happening, all for the sake of political correctness. And that's why we're here today, to support him and everything he stands for. And you must never shut up about it. And we in Australia support you 100%, because we've got the same rubbish going on there. So get out, stand up and fight.
I can even see an Aussie flag there. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! 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 Now we're going to change it up. Tommy, Tommy, Tommy! Tommy, Tommy, Tommy! 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 Bloody love this place. Yesterday, we came here to the same spot. It didn't look as good. There was about 10 of us, and about, I don't know, there was thousands of them. And I thought, there's no hope for London. But now I see the crowd here out today, and there is hope. Because united, we will win this fight. I'm losing my goddamn voice. And we've come here to London with a petition. We have a petition of 12,000 signatures of Australians who are petitioning our Queen, Queen Elizabeth, to free Tommy now! I'm gonna leave it here, but with one more Aussie Aussie for the live feed. Together, together. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! Aussie, Aussie, Aussie! 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 Good on you guys, I bloody love you. Tommy, we love you!
It's an honor to be here. We love you. Thank you for having us. God bless Australia. God bless you all.
Watch the video, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Whitehall. My name's Raheem Kassam. I'm going to be emceeing for you today, ladies and gentlemen. And, you know, The situation here on Whitehall has changed a little bit. It's changed a little bit from the day for freedom. It's changed a little bit from the last time we were here. You might have noticed. They tried to stop us. Once again, to the great leader of the UK Independence Party, it's Mr. Gerard Batten!
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Whitehall. And as Raheem said, we want a nice, peaceful demonstration and rally. We don't want let you be provoked by anybody. Okay, that's better. Now, before I speak about Tommy Robinson, I'd like to make a short announcement. Now, one of the founders of the Democratic Football Lads Alliance, Justin Smith, was arrested at Schiphol Airport on the 29th of May in the Netherlands. Now, many of you will know Justin Smith, I'm sure. He's been one of the organisers of previous rallies, and in particular, the Freedom of Speech rally held here on the 5th of May. Now, Justin has been detained in prison without charge, and he is now awaiting extradition to Switzerland on a European arrest warrant. And he tells me that this is on the basis of totally unfounded allegations. The circumstances of his arrest and detention are extremely suspicious, but he's asked me to let you know of his imprisonment and that his lawyers are doing everything they can to secure his release as quickly as possible. And he can tell you the full story when he gets out. Now, we haven't yet heard what Malcolm Lord Pearson is going to say, but I know that he's going to be talking about the efforts that he's making to ensure that Tommy Robinson is kept safe in prison and that he's released as soon as possible. Now, in my opinion, Tommy's sentence was not a free speech issue. What it does is raises serious questions about the fair application of the law. The questions are, was he really in contempt of court? Did he really breach the terms of his suspended sentence? And is 13 months a fair and proportionate sentence for his offence if indeed he was guilty? Now, those things are debatable, but in my view, Tommy Robinson has been imprisoned much more for who he is and what he says rather than what he is supposed to have done. Thank you. Now, I know Tommy isn't faultless, and I'm sure that he would be the first person to admit it, but he has now become a symbol of the opposition to so much that we know is rotten in our society. Some people will tell you that Tommy Robinson is a criminal, and he has indeed, on occasion, broken the law. But a real criminal is someone who defends upon the weak, who preys upon the weak and the defenceless. Tommy Robinson is somebody who has chosen to defend the weak and the helpless. Some people who have broken the law have gone on to become heroes and heroines. The suffragettes
is to make sure that he is protected and has peace of mind while he's in prison. And I've been tabling questions in the Lords, and I've been writing to ministers personally to try and ensure that this is so. My last letter was actually delivered to the prison minister personally, put into his hands by a fellow MP. So the prison minister, Rory Stewart, can't possibly say that his civil servants kept the letter from him and he didn't know about it. Of course, I don't know whether all this will have had any effect by the time you meet. The other thing, ladies and gentlemen, I am trying to do with Tommy is to start a national debate about Islam. If the grooming gang scandal tells us anything, it tells us that we have a serious problem with Islam in this country. And I don't think we will ever defeat Islamism if we don't understand Islam. So we really must learn about it and talk about it. And I'm afraid there's some very boring words that come into this, but there are only 4 of them. But we have to understand them if we're going to understand Islam at all. And the first boring word is abrogation, whereby Muslims believe, or most Muslims believe, we should ask them, that the later verses of the Quran, the verses of the sword, outweigh the earlier, more peaceful verses of the Quran, the verses of peace. And if that is so, then Islam cannot be a religion of peace. I don't know enough about Islam, but I think we should talk about it. The next boring word is taqiyya, whereby Muslims are encouraged to deceive their hosts and their host countries while they are growing in strength and before they are strong enough to take that country over. The third boring word is al-hijra, and that is the example of Muhammad in 627 in Medina, when he was strong enough to take over the town and his countries, and he made an offer to his host. He said, either you join my religion, or some of you can pay a tax, or I'm going to kill the rest of you. And he killed 600 Jews in one afternoon, and Islam went on to conquer most of the known world. All this, of course, is within the context of Sharia law and the Muslim ambition to create a world caliphate. And in all this, ladies and gentlemen, I think the most important thing we can do is to discuss it with our peaceful Muslim friends, and particularly with those brave Muslims who are starting to talk about it amongst themselves and who are looking for a different kind of Islam. They're trying to reach a different understanding of what Islam really is. And if we can make it normal to talk about Islam, perhaps our political class will stop accusing us of hate crime whenever we try to do so. As I said in my recent interview with Tommy, I do believe that UKIP is the best vehicle for encouraging this debate nationally and taking it forward for the eventual salvation of our grandchildren. I leave you with one question about Tommy's treatment. If we go back to Canterbury a year ago, when he was arrested and given a 13-month suspended jail sentence for trying to talk to some Muslim defendants in the grooming gang scandal. And as you know, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ now can be interpreted as hate speech. So my question is, if a Christian had been on trial for hate speech because he had been preaching the supreme divinity of Jesus Christ, would a Muslim blogger have been given a 13-month suspended sentence if he had approached that Christian? Ladies and gentlemen, I think you know the answer, and that's where Tommy's present troubles started. Thank you.
So thank you, Lord Pearson. We have a very special guest who's unannounced but is right here on stage with me. Mr. President, thank you so much for being here. Mr. President, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Do you have any words for them?
Yeah. I would actually like to say a little thing. Yesterday in Sheffield, which is why I've got that sign. I attended an anti-Trump demonstration. There was 4,000 and there was only 7 of us. And I made the local news and I got a lot of views, but I did it for freedom of speech, I did it for Tommy, I did it for Donald Trump. Here we go. And just one more thing. A week before that, my mayor, the new mayor, Sajid, he banned Donald Trump from coming to Sheffield. Well, my answer to that was I stood outside the mayor's office just as Trump, on my own, to prove that one man can make a difference, and he is not the voice of Sheffield. Thank you very much, and good night.
Well, look at that. I mean, that was genuinely impromptu, but good for him. You know, it's always and stuck by Tommy through thick and thin. You know him, you love him. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Kevin Carroll!
Cheers, Raheem. I'm back again. I'm not a bad penny. Hello, people. I just want to put these, because I just want to say before I start talking about Tommy, these beautiful colours, this beautiful sacred Union Jack of ours, of this green and pleasant land, and this Star-Spangled Banner, another beautiful work of art, and our closest friends and allies. Just before I start on Tommy Robinson, my cousin, who I love dearly, I just want to say a few words about Mr. Sadiq Khan. Yeah, I think you know him. I'm talking about the Mr. Sadiq Khan, the very same monumental failure as a London mayor who has shamed this green and pleasant land, shamed our nation, shamed us as a people by allowing and being so childish, pathetically childish, and allowing a pathetic monstrosity of an abomination of a blow-up doll to insult our greatest friend and ally, Mr. President Donald J. Trump. Now, my own personal feelings on Mr. Trump, the President of the United States, the democratically elected leader of the free world, my personal opinion is, I don't believe in the history of the White House, in my opinion, that the Oval Office has been graced by a more noble, righteous, honest, decent, God-fearing patriot since its construction. This man is doing the absolute best he can for his country and his people. And he is vociferous in his support of us, the United Kingdom. So when we get a visit, when we are graced by a visit from the leader of the free world, the President of the United States, what does our mayor and our Prime Minister, because he could not have done it if it wasn't sanctioned by number 10, they don't lay out the red carpet, they decide to insult him by allowing this effigy. Now, I just want to touch something on a double standard here. I think we had the King of Saudi here not so long ago, and even Robert Mugabe. Now, I don't remember members of the left looking for effigies and Sadiq Khan and Theresa May allowing effigies and balloons of the King of Saudi to be flying over Westminster on their visit. It's pathetic, it's childish, and I put a tweet out the other day, and the Red Hours, we were celebrating 100 years of our Air Force, and It was a beautiful, beautiful day. Over 100 of our finest flew over Buckingham Palace and the Queen. And a little soft spot for me since I was a kid is the Red Arrows. Now, a bigger bunch of lunatics I don't think exist, because the stuff they do in those planes is just scary beyond belief. But they are our finest. Now, when they flew past Buckingham Palace and they let out the red, white and blue smoke, I put a tweet out saying to Sadiq Khan, I sent it to him, and it was simple, because you have to be careful what you say to the Mayor of London, otherwise you could find yourself in chains and bondage and in prison. I put a tweet out saying, this is how we grace our skies, Mr. Failure London Mayor. Not insulting, pathetic, childish blow-up dolls. It's disgusting, and he shames us all. It's a disgrace. He's not fit to hold the office he has. That's without even touching on the crime rate and the murders. Anyway, God bless Donald J. Trump, the President of the United States. We're all big Trump supporters. Now, hello Bobster from Sheffield. She helped me work on this, a good friend helped me work on what I'm sort of explaining to you now. And John Murray and from the Amelia May Foundation, God bless them. Go on, Bobster. So, touching base on Tommy Robinson, he's been incarcerated, as far as I'm concerned, illegally. Now, I had to ask his family what I could say and inform you of, because it can affect his appeal in 4 days' time. But what I can tell you is, they moved him onto a normal wing, specifically to put his life in danger. Purposely orchestrated. The prison he was in Hull, he was good as gold. He felt safe, he was being looked after, and then they moved him into a prison where the percentage of Muslims in there was, I believe, is 71. So he had a blue mat and nothing else in his cell for 2 weeks. When the inmates threatened to kill him all night long, they moved him into the solitary block. The prison said they cannot keep him safe, so he has to be in solitary. The legal team challenged his conditions, as he is being treated like a prisoner of war when the crime should be in an open prison for coming home as he pleases. But what did the prison do? They moved him back onto the wing, and his cell is locked for 23.5 hours a day. He's only allowed one shower at 1 p.m. This means he hardly speaks to his children, as they have to be at school at that time, which is also orchestrated for that very reason. They have removed all of his rights as a prisoner just for the reason that they cannot prevent him being murdered. Prison is supposed to be about rehabilitation, enabling somebody to prepare to re-enter society upon their release. Ensure their mental health is intact, and to ensure the link with his family is still there. In Steve's case, none of these are adhering to any of these principles. And trust me, you know, he's my cousin, and it absolutely wounds me. So, when I said to you about no trouble, I meant it, folks. Even when we disperse from here today, you know, I want to see a big round of applause for the police, right? They're not the enemy, I keep telling you. They're not the enemy. They're boys and girls paying their bills, paying their mortgage, same as you and me. They've still got all the same problems, the same woes, because we're all the same. So let's show them the respect they deserve and do as they ask. And I'll love you for it, and so will Tommy. Hey, Tommy, Tommy! Hey, Tommy, Tommy Robinson! Hey, Tommy, Tommy! If you can see what I can see, how many people are here? Unbelievable, fantastic. I just wanted to go back to Sadiq Khan for a minute. He calls all of us here today, he calls all of us far right, extreme far right members. Really? Standing up changed the perception of it. If the label of it, extreme far right, means standing up against the wrong incarceration of people like Tommy Robinson without a fair trial, I am far right. And all of you are far right, going by that insane rationale. I've lost it now. If that same label means holding the PM to account for refusing to adhere to the democratic process, I embrace the label of far right. If speaking out on the inept immigration system that allows fighting age males to infiltrate our system, I embrace the label of far right. However, what the left must understand is that the extreme far left must accept their new label also. They must accept that the socialist liberal infiltration of the establishment within the education system to poison our young minds is the biggest threat to our nation's future since the threat of the Nazis in the Second World War. Fact. How dare they fly the mock balloons of a man next to one of our greatest leaders, who they all mock also, Sir Winston Churchill. They hide behind their liberalism like a shield, pleading their peaceful nature that is more dangerous to our nation than any possible so-called far-right reaction. The extreme far left are the single biggest threat to our national security, our relationship with America, and would want to be controlled by the EU because it protects the very fabric of what they would desire. The breakup of the British values. Let me warn you of this. If we lose our identity, one person above all, this a long, long time ago, Tommy Robinson, and he has also realised people like you here today would in the end wake up. The mainstream media tried with all their might to try and ignore Tommy and his popularity, only giving snippets when it provided a fascist, racist or a hooligan rhetoric. When they realised the rise in the belief in Tommy Robinson, they panicked, and this is where it has led us. To you, monitored by cameras, photographers, and being labelled by the Mayor of London as extreme far right. Well, let me tell you all, the solidarity for Tommy's growing and the rise of the working class woman and man to have a voice has arrived. The far right is not the danger. The extreme far left are the true danger to all of us at this moment in time in history. And on that note, I'm going to crash out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I want to thank you personally, and Tommy wants to thank you personally. You know, I'm looking at you people, and it's goosebumping me out. It's emotional. You're beautiful, beautiful people. You know, finest people, salt of the earth, the British public. And look at that, if you could see what I could see. Not when I'm cleaning windows, but it's overwhelming, to be fair. So I just want to thank the police as well. There's other speakers coming on. Bobster from Sheffield, John Murray, and all of you beautiful people, thank you very much. God bless you. Love you. Oh, and a massive shout out to all the stewards. Let's have a round of applause. Look at them all, sweating their socks off. All night. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Kevin. Away from Los Angeles, California, in the good old US of A, the singer, songwriter, and performer, Joy Villa.
Hi everyone, I'm recording artist and conservative activist Joy Villa. I really wanted to be with you all today. They're in the heart of the British government. Not just because of what's going on with Tommy Robinson, but because of what's going on with Brexit too. You know, Brexit was such a great inspiration to so many Americans. In 2016, we watched you, our brothers and sisters, fight to take your country back. A couple of years later, we're watching democracy fail under Theresa May. We're watching free speech fall under Theresa May. We're watching as your government tries to take away your birthright. I guess we have some similarities in that regard. In 1776, a proud gaggle of patriots in the colonies across the Atlantic suffered the same injustices. From Thomas Jefferson to George Washington to Paul Revere and those who inspired them. Those were men and women across the continent, as we knew it then, who screamed with one voice. Enough is enough. It's time for you to do the same. Benjamin Franklin, who lived in a house just a few hundred yards from where you're standing now on Craven Street near Charing Cross, once said, "We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly we shall all hang separately." I want you to remember that when the times get tough, because tough times are truly ahead. With an expansionist European Union, a new migrant crisis looming, and an assault on your civil liberties at hand, you must all hang together. We must all hang together. We have an amazing president in the United States today, doing things we didn't even dare to dream of before June 2016. Until Nigel Farage's words echoed around the world. Dare to dream that the dawn is breaking on an independent United Kingdom. A few days ago, Boris Johnson warned the country and the world that the dream was dying under Theresa May. And not just the Brexit dream that's dying under your fake conservative government. It's the dream of Britain in general. A country long regarded as having the mother of parliaments, the Magna Carta, and basic human dignity at its core. That's all at immediate risk. I don't mean it's at risk in 5 years or 10 years. I mean it's at immediate risk right now. And you brave men and women are on the front line of freedom. You're freedom fighters looking to secure your rights. You fought for and died for by generations before you. So let them call you all the names they want. Let them threaten your livelihoods. Let them throw their toys out of their collective prams. It makes no difference. I hope the reason you're all on Whitehall today is because you're in this fight for the long haul. I hope you stand with the great patriots in front of you through thick and thin. I hope you donate to the causes they risk their lives for. I hope you do as we in America do and scream with one voice that we do not go down without a fight. I hope you do as Tommy Robinson did and stand up for your country and your fellow citizens. You know, we watch in horror sometimes at what's going on in the UK. With Sadiq Khan, with terrorism, with the state of your public services. It serves as a warning for us. But I wish I didn't have to. I can't think of a country with real freedom, a real free press, and a real rule of law that would think a man with a Facebook live stream could influence a judge's sentencing decision. A decision about a rape gang, no less. What was the judge admitting about his own biases when he held Tommy in contempt? What was he saying about the reliability of the British judicial system? But don't take my word for it. Even your own law commission has explained the problems with contempt of court for reporting in the UK. In other words, everyone knows this law is unjust and unwieldy. But because it's Tommy, they don't care. Well, I care. And you care. We care. This isn't just about Tommy Robinson. This is about the state of freedom in the country that birthed mine. That's why this American cares. Because when our children and grandchildren point to a map and ask, where are the most free countries in the world? I don't want to have only the United States to point to. I want Britain to be free. I want France to be free. I want Ireland and Germany and Hungary, Italy, Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East to be free. We, our side, want freedom for the whole world. Our opponents only want freedom when it's convenient for them. So in closing, ladies and gentlemen, I want to salute you for what you're saying, for what you're doing, for what you're fighting for. Let's free Tommy Robinson. Let's bring Tommy home. Thank you very much. I'm Joy Villa.
Well, that was abrupt. I got family members have died for our country who are with us today. We salute you, gentlemen. Thank you so much. From the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you. Thank you. A bit of housekeeping now. There's been a key ring with a very sentimental message that's been dropped here near the front of the stage. If you've lost it, it says, Dad, I'll always be your little girl. You'll always be my hero. We have it up here if anybody has lost this. Just come around to the third place playoffs today. Ooh. He's the great Member of Parliament for Vlaams Belang. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage, Philip de Winter!
Dear friends, I was here 1 month ago, standing here in Whitehall to speak to you, and I was very pleased and honored that Raheem asked me to come back and to stand with you once again today, because the British government jailed Tommy Robinson, and today the same government is boycotting my good friend and Dutch Member of Parliament, Geert Wilders. This is once again an attempt to pander the Muslim agenda and to silence the people. Today, whatever happens, we will be heard. We will not bend for the anti-free speech, Sharia sympathetic totalitarianism of the UK government. Dear friends, we must break the silence. Tommy Robinson, but also Geert Wilders, are silenced because they tell the unconcealed truth about the failure of multiculturalism. Tommy Robinson is persecuted because he drew attention to Muslim grooming gangs and rape squads. He's locked up because he speaks up about the true nature of Islam. Dear friends, freedom of speech isn't some luxury that can be set aside by the first hint of offensive taken by religious groups. Freedom of speech is the keystone of our Western civilization. Without freedom of speech, our European civilization will collapse. Dear friends, by locking up an Islam critical activist such as Tommy Robinson behind bars, we bend and fold for undemocratic Islam. And it's the British government with Theresa May, who is collaborating with the enemy. And the enemy, my friends, is Islam. The enemy is Islam because the Quran is a military manual to wage war against the West. The Quran is a license to kill. And dear friends, by silencing Tommy Robinson, the political elites behave like dhimmis. They are already submitting to Islam and imposing Sharia law. Together with Tommy Robinson, we have to organize the resistance to prevent the Islamic hostile takeover of the West. Dear friends, Islam does not tolerate freedom of speech. In Islamic culture, there is no such thing as freedom of choice. Criticism towards Islam is immediately regarded as blasphemy. Islam is a fundamental negation of humanism and enlightenment, hallmarks of our Western civilization. And we have to stop together with Tommy Robinson the Islamization of Europe, because freedom ends where Islam begins. Dear friends, mass immigration has become the Trojan horse of Islam in Europe. And yesterday, President Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America, said in an interview to the British newspaper The Sun, and I quote, "Europe is losing his culture due to mass immigration." Donald Trump is right. And that's the reason, my friends, why we stand today here in London, yesterday in Brussels and in other capitals of Europe with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump is saying what the European political leaders don't dare to say. Our enemy is Islam. We have to stop mass immigration. Dear friends, restrictive laws are used in several countries, also in my country, to silence people like Tommy Robinson. that criticize Islam. Fundamental freedoms are curtailed, not to protect our countries from the threat of Muslim fundamentalism and terrorism, but to tackle so-called racists. We are no racists, we are realists. And because we are realists, we will never tolerate Islamic colonization of Europe. Dear friends, let me conclude. When you tear out a man's tongue, you are not proving him a liar. You are only telling the world that you fear what he might say. Tommy Robinson, for me and for all of you, and lots of common people here in Britain and Europe and all over the world, is a modern Braveheart, not a right-wing hooligan, but a civil right hero. And there is Dear friends, there is only one response to the prosecution, the intimidation and the silencing. Organize together with Tommy Robinson the resistance and fight back, because we will never be silenced, we will not bend, we will never, never, never give in. Defend the freedom of speech, defend Great Britain, defend Europe. Free Tommy Robinson. Thank you.
Arriving here today, I couldn't but notice that the stage is built at the bottom of a memorial celebrating women of World War II. And at the time when FIFA is trying to prevent pictures of women during football games to please the Qatari state, which will be the next host of the World Cup, I think this is quite appropriate to celebrate the women and the work they did for our freedom. According to whether you're rich or powerful, the court will judge you guilty or innocent. These were the words of Jean de La Fontaine, a famous writer in his book The Animals Sick of the Plague. Unfortunately, centuries after this fable was written, we are forced to admit that its moral still holds true today. It holds true in our Western societies, societies we believed embraced principles of freedom. But every day, we are reminded of the ugly truth. In France, writers are condemned for merely expressing their opinions. The French Parliament is currently assessing a new law against fake news, which in its very nature reveals a repressive attitude towards freedom. In fact, the assets of my party, whose leader, Marine Le Pen, was the runner-up in the last presidential election, have been illegally seized to try and silence us. Same legal coup is happening in Italy against Liga, who was just elected at the head of the Italian government. These societies, our societies, that claim to be inclusive, foster new taboos under the veil of this so-called multiculturalism. Certain topics are no longer to be addressed and thus become unspoken. The dark veil of oppression is slowly covering our nations. Last month, Tommy Robinson was arrested and sentenced to 13 months in prison for having live-streamed the arrival at Leeds Crown Court of the protagonist in the case, involving an Indo-Pakistani gang accused of having committed numerous despicable crimes of pedophilia. His incarceration is a dishonor to the grand liberal democracy that Great Britain represents. Or perhaps, sadly, that Great Britain used to represent if we do not act. No country that is confident and assertive in upholding its value would imprison journalists. This is the wicked work of tyrannies, of failed or totalitarian states. It took no more than 5 hours to imprison Toby Robinson. 5 so very short hours. Those of us who still believe in the freedom of opinion and expression should be appalled and outraged by Tommy Robinson's incarceration. Gangs committed repeated abuses in Telford and Rotterdam, facing nothing but at best indifference for
This is how legends are made.
Thank you very much. It's an honor and pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for the warm introduction. I am from a completely insane country in Northern Europe, where upside down, unfortunately, is the norm, where boys are girls and girls are boys, and where war is peace. And that country is called Sweden. We have become so utterly crazy, it's hard to explain for an outsider how crazy it has become. Probably the most crazy country on earth, except for maybe North Korea. But I thought that Sweden was the most crazy country on earth, and then England went ahead and put Tommy in jail. And then I realized, okay, we're actually facing competition about being crazy, the most crazy nation on earth. You might win that prize. I've been involved in formal politics for over 12 years, 8 out of which in Swedish national parliament. At my party's formation some 30 years ago, we took the fight against the political corrupt establishment, against the failed policies of mass immigration, political correctness, and we took the fight to expose the truth that this establishment are trying and have been trying to hide from its people. So from that perspective, I'm all too aware of the situation that Tommy is in. Back home in Sweden, we also suffered repression from the powers at hand who desperately tries to protect their failed policies. But the fate of Tommy is another level of transgression against our freedoms and our free speech. Tommy has become a symbol of resistance to this corrupt establishment, a symbol for the fight for freedom of speech and for our right to oppose that very establishment that has ruined more or less the whole of Western Europe. He's become a martyr for our cause, and his situation, as you can see here today from the speakers we have heard, has gained the attention of people across Europe, the US, and further out. We've seen protests in Israel for the release of Tommy. We've seen hundreds of protesters in Hungary for his release. We've seen him in Belfast, we've seen him in Washington. We even brought up the question in our parliament, a colleague of mine did. And the reason why Tommy's case has gotten so much attention is because this is a problem that is not isolated to England. It's a worldwide struggle. It's the fight between the left-wing liberals and their establishments who are trying to censor and stop ordinary people from access to information and to the truth. Now, we see these attacks on movements like this one and ours in Europe, and that's building up to a perfect storm. Not only is it our governments across Europe, but also international mega corporations such as Google and Facebook are teaming up with the left-wing governments to stop the opposition from being heard, from being financed, and from making a change. They're doing so by closing down accounts and pages on Facebook and YouTube. They censor results and newsfeed on Google. The EU, at the same time, tries to implement new laws that allow these corporations to stop the flow of information on the internet, just as they recently tried the European Parliament. Back home in Sweden, we have so-called hate speech laws. I'm sure you have them here too. And they are ever more being used to convict people for having a differing opinion. Or when in Sweden they try to change our constitution to stop people from knowing what's happening in our courts. And as we all know here all too well, now they started putting us in jail too. Tommy thus has become a symbol for this increasing opposition against all of this that we're facing. And that's why I'm here. That's why we have all these international speakers. We have the same fight and we're facing the same enemy. An enemy that turns a blind eye to years of sexual abuse against innocent young girls, but immediately punish the man who spreads the truth about it. Enemies that does little to nothing when its cities, such as London, fall victim to murders, stab sprees, acid attacks, but reacts immediately and harshly when one man tries to report on it. Fortunately, my friends, the tide is turning in Europe. In almost every country, there are parties like mine that act as a real opposition to the insanity and attacks on our societies. We have PVV in Holland, AFD in Germany, the Freedom Party in Austria, Vlaams Belang in Belgium. We have the Sweden Democrats in Sweden. We have the Danish People's Party, Front National in France, Lega in Italy, SDP in Switzerland, Fidesz in Hungary, and so on. We're winning. Unfortunately, your election system here stopped you from having such a party.
Now, many of you may not know me. I'm a United States Congressman from Arizona, but I suggest we know each other very well indeed. Now, if you look at the folks around you, we're of the same mind, the same heart, and the same spirit. Despite being two nations separated by an ocean, we also are two nations united by a common language, historical ties, military and strategic objectives, economic links, and more importantly today, the same struggles. Now, for years now, we have witnessed a full frontal assault on free speech. A full frontal assault on people who through thick and thin, and through sometimes with rough edges, have sought to defend the freedoms our forebears fought alongside one another and died for. That's why when I first heard of the case of Tommy Robinson, I could not stay silent. What do we want? Tommy out! We want Tommy out. Now, I know the United Kingdom does not have a First Amendment. The first part of our Bill of Rights was adopted back in 1791. I want to talk to you about that for a second. Now, I take the Bill of Rights seriously, because not only does it underscore the self-evident truths, that my nation's founders fought so hard to secure. But it also limits the capability of people like me, congressmen, governments at large, from prohibiting people from exercising their speech, their rights. Now, the First Amendment reads as follows: Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people peacefully to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. What you are doing here today is effectively a precursor to a campaign on your own First Amendment. Now, that's not me saying it, and I'm not telling you or your country what to do or how to be governed. But from the conversations I've had with the team around Tommy and the Britons concerned about this case, they tell me they wish they had a First Amendment.
Yes.
We are the people peacefully assembled today. We are petitioning your government for redress. What do we want? Now, Tommy, as a citizen journalist, has had his freedoms taken away by the British justice system. And for what? Speaking out against great demonstrable injustices. We know we watch in horror in the United States as we read about the rape and grooming gangs all around the country. I remember reading about it years ago, and the media used to try to shut people up and calling them racist or worse. And then it was proven true. Thousands of young and vulnerable girls systematically targeted, raped, and groomed by predominantly Asian men over decades.
Muslim.
And very, very few people held to account. Now, they say Asian,
Muslim.
but we don't.
Muslim. The Muslim.
Let's tell the truth, and let us try in telling that truth to help the wider communities from whence these men came, to rid them of the scourge of these disgusting and depraved individuals. We know these men come from predominantly Pakistani, Bangladeshi, and Muslim backgrounds. Now, I'm sure there are many in those communities who are just as disgusted as we are, and embarrassed that these men have lived amongst them for so long. So firstly, I want to say to these people, come, stand with us, get out here and speak out.
Where are they? Where the fuck are they?
Now, I know the cultural and societal pressures can be immense, but let me say this clearly. If you want to fight this behavior, fight these criminals, we are not your enemies. We are your friends.
I'm not fucking enemy.
But let me also say this. The sound of silence is deafening. Do not be silent. Never be silent.
Yes.
Whether you were born in the West or immigrated here for a better life,
I'm Scottish.
know and remember your duty to defend freedom and fight injustice. Yes, freedom comes alongside the ability to be lazy and disengaged. But freedom also has attached to it the responsibility to be active and alert, vigilant and visible. Now, as we approach Tommy's court appeal date, I want you all to take a few messages away with you today, if you'll allow me. 1, do not stop fighting. The political establishment tried to sabotage this event in several ways, but do not be discouraged. Box smarter, think harder, outplay them, outwit them. They are not better than you.
Never give up.
2, stay peaceful. It is so easy to get caught up in the provocations or frustrating moments. It's not worth it. It only harms the cause. And what the opposition media and opposition, that's what they want. Organize, get active. I've heard from previous rallies and events that Raheem and other organizers have often saying that they don't need you in spirit, they need you in person. And I echo those sentiments. Now, being present doesn't mean just coming to these events like we have today, but It means going out into your communities and engaging people in a welcoming, informed way. It means manning street stalls, chanting, "We want Tommy out." It means engaging on social media, hashtag Free Tommy. It means donating to the cause you support, because if you don't, who will? And it means putting differences aside, linking arms, joining hands, and speaking with one voice. The ruling class in Britain appears fearful of the truth. Never stop speaking the truth. Never stop working to bring Tommy home. Thank you, Britain. Thank you for having me. And what do you want?
We want Tommy out!
I didn't hear you.
We want Tommy out! We want Tommy out!
We want Tommy out. We want Tommy out.
We want Tommy out!
We want Tommy out. Thank you, Great Britain. Thank you.
Tommy Robinson! Tommy Robinson!
I want to direct your attention one more time to the screens. We have a very special video that I know is going to freak the mainstream media out. Please welcome the President of the United States, Donald J.
This is called the snake, and think of it in terms of immigration, and you may love it or you may say, isn't that terrible, okay? And if you say, isn't that terrible, who cares? Because the way they treat me, that's peanuts compared to the way they treat me. Immigration. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-hearted, frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. "Poor thing," she cried. "I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and soon as she arrived, she found that pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. "Take me in, O tender woman, take me in, for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. She clutched him to her bosom. "You're so beautiful," she cried. "But if I hadn't brought you in by now, surely you would have died." She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying thank you, that snake gave her a vicious bite. "Take me in, O tender woman. Take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman," sighed the vicious snake. "I saved you," cried the woman, "and you've bitten me, heavens why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die." "Oh, shut up, silly woman," said the reptile with a grin. "You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in."
This is how legends are made.
Tommy Robinson, and again, oh, Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson. Fucking love him. Sorry, right. Basically, I want to thank everyone for everything, for coming today and being here and listening to everyone. I want to introduce a couple of people that I'm sure you're well aware of. There was an incident in London a while back where 3 young boys were murdered. And they were murdered by a terrorist, and the police tried to cover it up. And these people travel all around the world, well, not yet, maybe the country, all around the country, getting support for their kids that died, that were murdered. So I want to introduce Tracy and James. Tracy Blackwell, who's one of the mothers of one of the boys, and they deserve to have their say. Ladies and gentlemen, give a big round of applause. We'll let them talk.
Hi everyone. Just to say we wasn't going to speak here today because we have a march in 2 weeks' time, so I wanted to save that speech for then. But just to say thanks to Kevin and Glenn and Danny for getting us up here. So we're only up here for 3 minutes. So firstly, just what I want to say to the police officer that was going to arrest the woman because she was carrying a pig with Sadiq Khan's face on it because she said it was offensive. Well, what about the thousands that were here yesterday showing our great country up against the President of America? What about them? Because Trump's welcome,
Khan's not.
Exactly. Why there's patriots, we shall have an England, we shall have a Northern Ireland, we shall have Scotland, and we shall have Wales. You ain't taking it from any of us. So what I'm going to say is I'm going to salute St George, I'm going to salute St Andrew, I'm going to salute St David, and I'm going to salute all our armed forces in the past and the present. But what I'm not going to salute is the British police who have no law and order, who hide evidence, who look after the rapists, just like our appeasing establishment. To the police, I'm sorry, but you don't want to do this, do you? Because you don't want to be called a racist. Well, you're not racist, you're cowards. And your spineless behaviour offends me. Shame on you. Honour your oath, because in 2 weeks' time we're standing outside Scotland Yard and telling you exactly what we think.
Give Tracy a massive round of applause. Come on, she's the reason we're here as well. Do you know what? We've travelled the length and breadth of this country. We've been to Edinburgh, Glasgow, Newcastle, Sunderland, Leeds, Manchester, and we are never going to stop until we get justice for Josh, Harry and George. So like I said in every one of my speeches, we're here today to stand with each and every one of you, to tell the police over there, to tell the corrupt establishment that enough is enough. 28. Thank you, and join us on the 28th Victoria Embankment, 1 o'clock, fighting for justice.
All right, folks. But, thank you very much for coming today. I know from the heart, from myself, from Tommy, love you. We're so glad you made it. So glad you came. Really appreciate it. Wonderful, wonderul turnout. You know, credit, absolute credit. I'm so proud of you. I know Tommy will be proud of you as well. Once again, I've just got to reiterate that when we leave here today, if everybody could try and just behave your best, be on your best behaviour, because it's been a fantastic day. It's been a total and utter success. It's been a marvellous success, and it's going to help Tommy absolutely no end getting home to his children and his wife and his family. And it's all because you made the effort to turn up here today, and you behaved and you supported. That means everything. Everything. So please, can we have a big round of applause for the police today, because they facilitated us. Let's have a round of applause, come on, let's have it. No, let's have it. Round of applause for the police. You know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. They have an extremely difficult job to do, an extremely difficult job. But put it this way, the only way we can go bed at night and tuck your kids in and sleep like a baby is because you know they're out there doing their job. So come on, let's have it right. They do a tough job, and it's a dirty job, and you know they're out there risking their lives for us. So you know, let's have a round of applause, please. Come on, I love you. Right, so if everybody, when you make your way home, when you leave here, if you could just do it in a nice, calm, orderly fashion, and please try not to throw litter or drop it, keep it in a bag or something, because we'll get it in the neck. And thanks very much for coming. Thanks to all the stewards. Thank you to Raheem and all his crew. Done a fantastic job. Well done, Raheem. And thank you for the organisers, and thank you very much for your time and for supporting us. And thank you, the British public. God bless you. And Tommy, please God, gets out on the floor saying,
I'm stepping in the fade. There is no time to waste. I've got
Bob Star.